Okay, so next we need to come up with a browser to be able to get through our directory structure that we're making with our asset publisher Maya that we did in the last video. So I guess like the second real tool that we're making. Again, Maya being the modeling and animation DCC of choice for me. It's the one that I know. Probably won't end on this being the only one that's supported, but we're publishing assets out of it now, writing them to disk, and the user can input some kind of fields, values into fields to dictate where it goes and how it's written out. And so now I need to be able to traverse that same directory structure and get out the version list, the one that's always the newest version, but always under the same name, and then also be able to look at the versions and be able to browse the different categories and stuff like that we have. And specifically, also, we just want to look at the asset part of the tree, not like the animation or the texture part of the directory tree. So that'll be a fixed value. And so again, using the file browser that I made in like the third-ish video, fourth maybe, we're gonna do the same thing, but hook up some extra buttons to it. And I guess I started saying that without really knowing where I was going to go with that. Like I said in the last video, I kind of run out of stuff to say really quickly, so time-lapse form, I don't know, maybe these should be blank or quiet, silent. Maybe I should continue the commentary over them. I'm not entirely sure. I don't really use any kind of music or anything. Maybe I'll start doing that. But yeah, so there we go. We at least have the columns making. And so we're going to make some buttons too. And the various kinds of buttons are like I want to open, I want to import. Maya has referencing where you don't really import a copy of the object. You reference the one on disk. So if the one on disk changes, the next time you open your file that's referencing it, it'll have the updated version. And you can always refresh your reference and then it'll get the updated version. So like if someone's modeling a thing that's kind of like touching up look dev on it, like textures or something, and you're animating it, you can just refresh the reference and you'll get whatever their update is. And then I didn't do it in the last video. I recorded the beginning bit before I did like the postscript, which is where I talked about fixing up the bugs. But in this video, in the last video I talked about getting the JPEG thumbnails out. In this video I actually go and implement them. I just had forgotten that when I started talking last time. Which, again, that just like play blasts a single frame based on wherever your current viewport camera is. And again, doing the, like I said in, I don't remember which video, I do basically the same workflow for every single class for Qt, which is the construction pass, the like front end functions, and then the back end functions. And within the construction pass, there's the create widgets, create layouts, and create connections sections. And I do those all in order in the init. So here's the base shape of our asset browser taking place. And here, just going through and doing the path-based management, because again, I want to fix the value that we're only looking at assets with this. I'll probably make a different browser for different things because like effects or textures, there's just different things that you care about when you're going through them, different ways that you could sort, and they're just at different points in the tree, so we'll just make them different browsers. Like for textures, you probably want to browse by textures that all pertain to the same material. Maybe you want individual textures. Maybe you're looking for stencils. I don't really know. But for this, it's just assets. And then also have a couple of fields there to be able to display some of the metadata that we captured before. In this, I'm only doing like the publish date, the note on it, and the person who published it getting the Windows username. But being able to track notes is very important. And here I'm setting up the columns populating the next column based on the directory structure. Again, all dynamic. You set the project folder that you'll be using in the pipeline settings menu, and then everything else just kind of works from there. And I had said that the browser, the column manager that I was doing this time was a little bit different than I had done in previous times. And there's definitely some trade-offs with the way that I did it. I think that this is definitely more modular, but it's almost modular for modular's sake. I'm not going to go back and fix it because I just want to keep going. You know, they say like perfection is the opposition to progress. If you spend all your time making the perfect system, you'll never actually finish it. And doing this is also kind of giving me a little bit of insight into, again, I did a different implementation for the column manager, just well, the columns. And it's giving me an idea of what I need to understand for when I go to do the Unreal one. And that one will be a little bit different because we don't really care about the versions. We kind of just care about whatever's the latest Unreal FBX. And we do kick out versions of those too if we need to go back and do it, but I don't super care about getting the versions because the names will be different, and therefore the import path that Unreal reads will be different, and I would rather be able to re-import the same asset, which is why I'm also doing the versionless one. Unreal can just look at the one file directory, and if it updates, then all we have to do is re-import. We don't have to refigure it out. And here is another, it's kind of a cheat or a cop out, I guess, for like recording my progress in making this. I am pasting some libraries in that I use pretty commonly. So here, I guess I moved away from it. There's a small regex library that I've started of just like really common functions that I use on files, like getting version numbers, getting trailing numbers at the end of a name. And I just pasted those in. And so I'm using those to be able to figure out when swapping references. I don't know how many references there will be, therefore I don't know how many digits deep the reference number will be. And as was foretold, I'm about 3/4 of the way through, and I don't actually really have a whole lot more to say. I'm just kind of finishing it up. I don't have a postscript on this one. After this, I'm going to be getting into Unreal, starting the plugin there, getting Unreal hooked up to the launch process, and all the tools will be in a plugin, so that way then we can, if you need to publish a game, you can take it out and it's not really affecting the game, the install size, and you could deploy the tools pretty easily to multiple projects by using a plugin. We could probably write something that like copies the plugin over, but as far like while I'm developing it, I imagine the plugin is going to be changing quite a bit, so that's not really a thing that I'm thinking about right now. But in terms of like deploying the tools, you would have to get the pipeline repository and whatever the newest version or corresponding version of the plugin would be. All right, so there's the preview. It looks like hooked up, and just kind of finishing up a few extra front-end features. Such as the metadata. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Rounding out the close of this video.